Good morning. Joining me at the podium are Tom Perez, Assistant Attorney General in charge of the Department of Justice's Civil Rights Division. Thank you, Tom. Jan Fedarchik, the Assistant Director in charge of the New York office of the FBI, and Connecticut's U.S. Marshal Joe Fawnin. We are here today to announce the unsealing of an indictment and the arrests of 4 East Haven police officers charged with violating the civil rights of members of the East Haven community. Earlier this morning, Sergeant John Miller and Officers David Curry, Dennis Spaulding, and Jason Zullo were arrested without incident. They are scheduled to appear before United States Magistrate Judge Fitzsimmons in Bridgeport Federal Court at 2 p.m. I want to stress at the outset that an indictment is not evidence of guilt. Charges are only allegations, and each defendant is presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. This morning's arrests are the culmination of a long-term and ongoing federal criminal investigation of the East Haven Police Department. The indictment alleges that 4 officers, 1 sergeant and 3 patrol officers that he supervised, repeatedly violated the constitutional rights of individuals who reside, work, or travel in East Haven. The 4 defendants have been charged with using excessive force in the arrest of 5 individuals, conducting unreasonable searches and seizures, arresting 5 individuals based on false and misleading pretenses, and ostracizing, harassing, and intimidating fellow officers and their own police commissioners in an effort to deter or prevent scrutiny of their misconduct. Specifically, the indictment alleges that Miller, Spaulding, Zullo, and another officer used unreasonable force during lawful and unlawful arrests, and that Curry, Spaulding, and Zullo engaged in unreasonable searches and seizures, including unlawful searches of premises and arrests of individuals without probable cause or based on false and misleading information. The indictment further alleges that Spaulding and Zullo intimidated, harassed, and humiliated members of the Latino community and their advocates. Spaulding and Zullo conducted unreasonable and illegal searches at Latino-owned businesses. Spaulding followed, intimidated, and harassed advocates who worked to defend the rights of members of the Latino community. And Spaulding and Zullo used racist and other inappropriate language when they interacted with or referred to members of the Latino community. In total, the indictment alleges more than 30 overt acts by the 4 defendants and others in furtherance of the conspiracy. It is alleged that those falsely arrested include a member of the clergy, a man who ran a local business in East Haven, and several community members. The victims of abuse were unarmed, neither resisting arrest nor interfering with police officers, but rather under the secure control of police officers. The abuse occurred in the police station in East Haven and in the streets of East Haven. There is no place for excessive force in a police station or on the streets. There is no place for false statements in a police report. No person is above the law, and nobody, even a person arrested for a crime, is beneath its protection. The conduct alleged here goes to the very core principles of our criminal justice system. An officer who violates his oath betrays his fellow officers, members of the public, and his town, state, and country. The crimes alleged in this indictment undermine the public's trust and confidence in the fine men and women of law enforcement who serve all of us bravely and with integrity every day. We know and understand how difficult police officers' jobs are and how important they are to a free society. It is for their benefit and societies that we at the Justice Department are ever vigilant in investigating and prosecuting wrongdoing by those who have sworn to protect the public. Our investigation is ongoing as we continue to look at additional incidents and individuals. We know firsthand how difficult it has been for people to come forward with information in this case. As I said, the indictment includes various acts of intimidation directed at members of the public, fellow officers, and police commissioners. If anyone has information relevant to our investigation, including acts of intimidation or cover-up, I urge you to call the FBI immediately at 212-384-1000. 212-384-1000. Finally, I want to acknowledge the Civil Rights Squad of the FBI's New York field office, who have conducted a tireless and thorough investigation. The Civil Rights Division at the Department of Justice, whose criminal section has assisted us in this investigation. And Deputy United States Attorney Deirdre Daly and Assistant United States Attorney Krishna Patel, who are prosecuting this case. And now you'll hear from Assistant Attorney General Tom Perez.
Thank you, David. Good morning. My name is Tom Perez. I have the privilege of serving as the Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights. Me llamo Tomás Pérez. Yo soy el fiscal asistente de derechos civiles del Departamento de Justicia. Thank you for your leadership, David, in this important matter. Civil rights is indeed a joint venture between Civil rights enforcement is indeed a joint venture between the Civil Rights Division and United States Attorney's offices nationwide and our colleagues in the FBI and other law enforcement agencies. United States Attorney Fine has been a remarkable leader and partner in enforcing our nation's civil rights laws, and I would like to commend him, his remarkable team of Assistant United States Attorneys, and the dedicated agents from the Federal Bureau of Investigation, all of whom led this criminal investigation. It was an honor to assist you and to continue to assist you in this effort. United States Attorney Fine has outlined the serious criminal charges contained in this indictment. I want to again underscore his statement that an indictment is not evidence of guilt, and each defendant is indeed presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. At its core, this is an abuse of power case. Police officers are supposed to protect and serve, and the indictment alleges that the officers abused their power and then added insult to injury by intimidating witnesses and creating a climate of fear. Criminal prosecutions are critical because they address the most egregious incidents of police misconduct. I know from personal experience as a civil rights prosecutor dating back to 1989 that these cases can serve as a wake-up call and begin the process of rebuilding a police department. Criminal prosecutions are not the only tool we have to combat police misconduct. Recently, the Civil Rights Division, working again in partnership with the United States Attorney's Office, completed a civil investigation of the East Haven Police Department using our authority under federal civil rights laws to investigate patterns or practices of police misconduct. Following this investigation, which began in September of 2009 and was wholly separate and apart from the criminal investigation that resulted in today's indictment, we issued a lengthy report in which we found reasonable cause that the East Haven Police Department engages in a pattern or practice of systematically discriminating against Latinos by targeting Latinos for discriminatory traffic enforcement, treating Latino drivers more harshly than non-Latino drivers after a traffic stop, and intentionally failing to design and implement internal systems of control that would identify, track, and prevent such misconduct. We found that the pattern or practice of unlawful conduct was deeply rooted in the department's culture. We are hopeful and remain hopeful that the City of East Haven will work cooperatively with the Justice Department to develop and implement a court-enforced, comprehensive blueprint for sustainable reforms. Criminal indictments focus on the conduct of specific individuals. Civil pattern or practice investigations focus on systematic problems within the department. Both investigations are about accountability and ensuring that a police department, in this case the East Haven Police Department, is able to carry out its critical mission of protecting and serving the community. We will use every tool in our law enforcement arsenal to ensure that individual East Haven police officers and the department as a whole is carrying out its mission in a lawful fashion. Effective policing and constitutional policing go hand in hand. We owe it to the community and to all law-abiding police officers who put their lives on the line day in and day out to address the serious challenges confronting the East Haven Police Department. And let me now turn to the Assistant Director of the New York Field Office of the FBI.
Thank you. Today's indictment, as you have heard, outlines a 4-year pattern of egregious behavior by men sworn to uphold the law as well as enforce it. The pledge to obey the law is implicit in a police officer's oath. The 4 East Haven police officers charged today were a cancerous cadre who routinely deprived East Haven residents, particularly members of the Latino community, of their civil rights. Officers David Kari, Dennis Spalding, and Joseph Zullo, and their supervising sergeant, John Miller, engaged in one or more of the following blatant, illegal, and unethical acts of misconduct. In essence, they arrested people and searched premises on false pretenses and filed false police reports to support their illegal actions. They used excessive and unnecessary force, including Sergeant Miller striking a compliant and handcuffed arrestee. Sergeant Miller then reprimanded an officer who did the right thing by reporting the abuse to his supervisors. They falsely arrested a religious leader and advocate for the Latino community who witnessed their illegal vehicle search and unlawfully tried to seize video equipment to expunge evidence of their misconduct. They continued to try to intimidate the religious leader and others in a further effort to obstruct justice. They attempted to impede the Board of Police Commissioners' investigation of the arrest of the religious leader. They attempted to intimidate and silence other East Haven officers by posting thinly veiled threats in the department station house. The officers abused their positions of authority to deprive people of their constitutional rights under color of law. In simple terms, they behaved like bullies with badges. Making up charges out of whole cloth to arrest a man of the cloth is just one of the more appalling instances of abuse by these defendants. Trying to fortify a blue wall of silence to keep other officers from reporting their misdeeds was yet another. These officers have damaged the reputation of their department, and importantly, they have undermined the public's faith in those sworn to protect them. The residents of East Haven should not need protection from those who are sworn to protect and serve them. I would ask, as you have heard, anyone with further information about abuse or misconduct to call us, the FBI, at 212-384-1000. I'd like to take this opportunity to commend Assistant Attorney General Perez and the Justice Department's Civil Rights Division for placing a high priority on protecting the rights of the vulnerable. Thanks also to U.S. Attorney David Fine, Deputy U.S. Attorney Deirdre Daly, and Assistant U.S. Attorney Krishna Patel for their valued partnership over the course of this investigation. I'd also like to thank United States Marshal Joseph Faunan. Special thanks to FBI Special Agents Jeremy Bell, Brian Gander, and Robert Silveri, along with their supervisor Brian Nato of the New York's FBI Civil Rights Public Corruption Squad for their efforts in this important case, working to ensure that liberty and justice for all is not just a hollow promise. Thank you.